Welcome back to some professional Starcraft 2 from Stay at Home Story Cup 2. Everybody staying safely inside, well, I assume these players, Drogo in some sort of back room of a bakery, and Serral in a hut surrounded by trees and also primitive farming implements. Is that stereotyping? Maybe a little, but skipping back, let's introduce in the top right the Frenchman from Raise Your Edge Gaming. It is Drogo. Ptitdrogo. And in the bottom left, the Finisher from NC Sports. The favorite to win everything, including hearts and minds. The only person under the age of 45 allowed to wear a fedora. Of course, it is Serral. Now, this is on the new patch. We'll call it the overcharge patch, I guess. As battery overcharge, the ability to buff up a shield battery to be over 3 times as effective for a short time from your Nexus. Well, hopefully we see it in action, as opposed to me describing it. But overcharge is back, but has a new, fresh form. So we'll see if that factors in. Because a lot of, for the last patch, a lot of Protoss players were struggling with just the general idea of getting to the mid-game. It felt like, especially against players like Serral, that you either had to commit to trying to do damage early, maybe with like Clave to Depths or something like that, or you end up, well, getting hit by some sort of early all-in and really struggle, if you survive, of course, getting to a third. But battery overcharge, some tweaks to the Oracle, a bit of a nerf to Queen range, rest in pieces, Brenda. Banelings being slightly less effective against non-light units. They're not huge changes, at least nerfs to Zerg, but everybody's trying some new things. It's a new, fresh time, especially for Protoss players. So we'll see. A Stargate is on the way and at a hidden pylon. Now, I don't think Serral's going to be particularly surprised about this. Like he saw that Warp Gate wasn't researching early. Queens are still more than capable of driving away any sort of early oracles. The question, I think, will be, does Drogo follow this up with some sort of early attack? Or does he just end up using it to get a third? If you would ask me a month ago, I would have said, alright, and then he goes like Archon drop or something like that. Sometimes you got a Depths. It almost became not entirely standard, but probably about 70-80% of the time followed up with a 2-base all-in. In fact, going for the Stargate is a little more rare. I'm excited to see how it's actually used. So for the changes to Revelation, the Oracle rather, Revelation now only costs 25 energy, but it only lasts about half as long as well. So it favors more active players. They can keep revelating, I guess, tagging, whatever your preferred word is, units as long as they're actively using the Oracles. It does have a just base cooldown, so you can't slap it across an entire army either. Like it has a, I think it's like 12-second cooldown, so you can't use one Oracle to just tag all parts of the army immediately. But it definitely favors your more active, multitasking players. Is that? I'm not sure if that wall off, I guess it's the correct size. The Oracle actually gets in, finds 4 kills to start the Queens. Oh, not creep in between. A week ago, that Oracle would be dead. But Brenda just can't reach out and whip those, I guess, spines? Talons? Talons aren't right. Talons aren't right. Whatever sort of thing they're throwing out there at air units. But the Oracle able to get in, get out, get the damage done with its life. Roachhorn is on the way. Did I just see Burrow for a second? That probably was a misclick there. Third base on the way for Drogo. Just now getting a Robo. Roachhorn's done for Serral, and he's only got 42 drones, building 4 overlords at a time. So, well, that's... I'd say that's a little bit of a mistake. I don't think he really lost to Overlords before. It's just he didn't build them in a timely manner. Usually you don't want to be building too many at the same time, because that indicates you don't have a smooth production rate. Layers on the way, a couple oracles. Going for the queen. Drogo diving in. Gets the queen. Sure, the spore crawler zones out, but actually just straight up kills it. Now, 5 roaches on the way. It looks like Serral wants to get damage done to the 3rd. Cancels the lair. This is all sorts of in. Brenda and her knitting crew on the way across the map. Not noticing the oracles definitely see this. The Nexus will be done, and getting a Nexus in a timely manner allows you to use that battery overcharge. The timing's going to be important. It does have a 1-minute cooldown. So the timing on the battery overcharge could make or break this push. The Queens, more batteries on the way. Charge has started. It's a long way off. Another Oracle, just anything he can build to help deal with this. Serral's going all in game 1. Just too much damage done already. The first set of force fields knocked down. A second set. Here comes Serral with the corrosive bow. Transfuse versus batteries. There's the overcharge there. The super battery lined up, but corrosive bile knocks it down immediately. Oracles doing as much damage as they can. They're still very vulnerable creatures. The Queen's providing some basic anti-air. The corrosive bile is breaking through the batteries. An Immortal comes out. Another Oracle as well. The Queen count is dipping precipitously. That's a fun word. Probes are pulled off the line. The last Oracle might just barely... No! No, it goes down! The last Oracle goes down, but at the same time, Serral lost all his queens. He's lost a whole lot of his momentum. 6 probes were killed, but as long as the 3rd base is still intact, battery overcharge still about 45 seconds out. The Immortal can't quite get in range of the battery. Targeted down. The barrier providing a couple extra seconds. But Drogo holds. Serral went all in there. He canceled the lair. He pulled the queens. There's no follow-up here. This is a very uncomfortable spot as a Zerg player, because he knows you're not really going to have another attack. You can't just keep making the same units you were building before and do it again. It's not going to work. But at the same time, the economy is not incredible. And that's a huge understatement. You don't want to have a less efficient unit composition with less income and even on basis. There's no really redeeming quality here for Serral. Drogo walling off his 3rd. I think that's almost a hard wall besides that one right side gap. Serral's kind of hoping for maybe not having units on hold position. There's a few options, but it looks like Drogo off the... I don't know how much the battery overcharge really did here, but made a lot of the difference. If another half a dozen probes had died, then maybe Serral would have a more realistic ability to macro it out. But as you see right now, Serral had to build a whole lot more roaches just to not die to a counterattack. That's not even to be aggressive. He built more roaches because he was afraid that Drogo would just come across the map. Of course, Drogo sat back. He crossed his T's. He dotted his I's. He got his upgrades, and he's slapping his 4th. But it's just a very uncomfortable scenario for the Zerg. There's no other tech either. So, it's just Roach Ravager Zergling. +1. Speed is on the way. Roach speed. If you get a critical mass of Roach Ravager, maybe. Drogo needs to be careful not to overstep. Without Storm, a significant amount of Roach Ravager still does plenty against a mostly charged lot Archon army. Somehow, as Serral does, his Zerglings get in, and they're also going for the main, but Drogo already set up to defend this. Wait, are these Slovies? Oh my god, the slowest drop. The Zergling's terrified as it's driven away. Here comes Serral. He managed to eke out 50 drones. That's about it. Drogo's had the economic lead this whole time. The army size a little larger for Serral, but the upgrades just aren't there either. Corrosive Bile looking good to start. Another Archon coming through. Storm is halfway done. Drogo wanted a little bit... Well, ideally he wanted to get to Storm and have some Templar with energy, but so far... A handful of Zealots. You can't afford a single drone loss. Serral loses 6. The Zealots are forcing the issue here. Storm is nearly done. Corrosive Biles aren't going to save you. Serral is, like, he's bleeding out at home. You don't have time. You have to fight. But at the same time, how do you win? The Zealots clear up 8 drones. Drogo just... Serral's biding his time, but he doesn't have time to bide. A round of Corrosive Bile shotgunned out, but Storm is done. Serral doesn't know that yet, but I'm sure once he realizes it's going to be an unhappy time for him. The Zealots are still doing so much. The Zealots are just making it... The clock is running out. There's a couple Templar with the army. He doesn't want to let the Concave of Roach Ravager do too much here, but it looks like Drogo's had enough. Warps in some Zealots. Storm lands on the center mass of the Ravagers. He's stepping a little far forward here onto the creep, meaning the Roach Ravager can micro back. The army value, well, the army supply at least is much higher for Serral, but the battery overcharge keeps an immortal intact. And yeah, while Drogo can't really go across the map and directly kill Serral on creep, as soon as we get onto this high ground, it becomes a lot easier for Drogo to hold. More Roaches and Ravagers. Serral eats a Storm. There's just a single Archon left. There's not that many Zealots, and by that I mean there's one. But the War Prism sends in another round of Charge Loans. Somehow, because Serral is Serral, he's holding on. It's getting less and less tenable here. At some point, there's just not the economy. He's under... Oh, he's almost at half the workers. A full blast comes out. But now there's so many Templar. There's so many Storms. Now, the numbers of Roach Ravager that Serral can bring to bear are now his weakness, as the Storm makes that very difficult to use. Drogo holds on to it. Good Storm. Another set of Zealots. Yeah. Serral still not able to find a decisive engagement. Drogo holding on. Another round of Zealots. Serral moving in. The Zealots, like... Oh, big Storms. And Serral, before another Storm could land, just taps it out. He was just waiting for the opportunity. That was not a game you're coming back from. Still, like... I guess the simple answer is Serral. I know, very eloquent, but it really did feel like after that first attack, it should just be a couple minutes and then Drogo wins the game. But he kept it up. Like a couple Corrosive Biles can change everything. You hit the Templar, you knock out an Immortal or something, and maybe there's an opening. But in game 1, Serral pulls the trigger on an all-in, and Drogo blocks him. I don't think, like... Serral, obviously a multifaceted individual. Where was I going with this? But I don't think of him as, like, your timing attack player. He's obviously capable of it. But I don't feel like his strength is picking a sharp timing. A designated pressure, maybe, if you would. It's more kind of absorbing any sort of attacks his opponent is doing. And then just getting ahead and eventually overwhelming. Though we are in a new era of Protoss versus Zerg. So we'll see. And Golden Wall is a bit of a... Saying it's a bit of a mess is probably underselling it. especially in matchups without a Terran. At least when you got a Terran player involved, you kind of got an idea of how they're going to play it, using the low ground potentially for like a tank push or drops. But the mineral walls to the low ground at the back, and then the golden walls themselves and the golden bases, like, ZVP is confusing on this map. It could... I honestly don't know what the standard is supposed to be. I don't have an understanding. Like, usually it's vetoed. That's why many of the matches we see on this, I guess we see some ZVT, but I don't know how. I've seen a very small number of Protoss versus Zergs here. Now Drogo's looking around. Hey, are you going for the goal? You going for the gold, Serral? That back base is a threat as well. Air units, obviously a little bit more of a threat. I mean, they're so obvious, and they don't really have much ground support, but it's not going to be air units this time. It's going to be a Twilight Council, which... it's not just going to be glaives, right? Right, Drogo? You're not just going to go glaive to death. He is building a Stalker, but that doesn't really mean anything. There's no Robo, which... he's not just going to go glaives, right? He would, if he was going to go DTs, I'd imagine he would have already built a Robo. But... okay. He's got the gas. He's not building glaives with 100 gas, so... the first Overlord gonna be pushed away. Oh my god. Okay, so he is just going DTs. A DT drop. A lot of options here. Can use the mineral wall to make sure you get that DT Archon in a timely manner. A couple more gates being built. Serral sees one of them. Okay, this is gonna be a little like, why are you not walling off, Drogo? Why not even wall off at one of those gates? I'm not sure. I'm sure Serral is a little suspicious right now. Will he start a lair once he has that 100 gas? Well, the Overlord, slowly but surely, sliding in towards the main. He has the gas for a lair. He's going to see the Dark Shrine, right? Yeah. I mean, it's right there. So, a Roach one. It feels like Serral not really respecting the options that Drogo has. He's just now building a Roach one. He doesn't have a lair on the way. So even though he's going to be prepared for this, he knows it's coming. That doesn't mean he's going to be able to stop it. And obviously, I don't mean like, is he just going to die to Dark Templar? I don't think so. But he's already ceded any initiative. There's no, like, the lack of lair means there's really no way for Serral. He's going to send a few Zerglings out, but outside of this, like, he can't kill DTs. So Drogo can just build 1 or 2 DTs and then take a third while pressuring with the Archon drop. And you got to respect Drogo, understanding Serral knows what a Dark Shrine looks like. So instead of trying to get the DTs to do damage, just immediately comes out with the Archon drop. And there's not, like, a few roaches are coming out. Look at the worker count. This is the key part of this. The Archon drop, it doesn't just kill workers in and of itself. It kills workers by its mere existence. Serral is struggling to put together workers because he has to build units to defend. A couple zealots to help buffer here. Make a big difference. Drogo going for a third. No, the Drogons! Okay, that didn't work. I was trying to put it all together. That was a bad joke. But you know what else is a bad joke? Queen's current anti-air range. Blizzard! What are you doing over there on the Banana Lands team? The Zerglings do cancel the third. Once again, Drogo being a little lazy, not warping in any DTs. He actually recalls the Prism. Okay, so Serral has been able to deny the third. This is about as much as he could expect to do here. Once Serral sees the Prism on the other side of the map. Oh, what? Okay, Drogo. What a save! Very valuable usage of the Warp Prism's micro potential. So, Serral now has a pretty solid opening to just build drones, to get his tech up. Honestly, it feels like a bit of an overreaction to recall the Prism back home. Give Serral a lot of space, but you shouldn't have been delayed on that third for quite so long. That was a lot longer than he needed to be. Yeah. As soon as those Zealots move in towards the Zerglings, he realizes that they skipped leg day and will now get that upgrade. 6 Templar were just warped in. I'd imagine some either serious Archons or at least saving up for Storm. The Archons are just bullying anything they can get within range of with their stubby little energy arms. Whoa, whoa, whoa! This Prism would have been dead a week ago. He's just building, yeah, he's morphed them all into Archon. He's saving up energy, but Drogo doesn't have Storm on the way. So, like, in order to use all this energy, what are you gonna feed back Overseers? You gotta actually get Storm to use the Templar for Storm. This is an important factor. So that he's kind of lining up into a very awkward scenario if he doesn't start that Storm research very soon. I guess the worst case is he's forced into Archons, but that seems kind of a waste of their talents. Well, it looks like talent is not relevant here. Archons are ready for the push. Serral is at 70 drones and counting. Serral's just kind of gotten everything here. Where are these drones going? He's going for the middle minerals, whereas Drogo is just putting together a huge army. Baneling speed is on the way, but it's a long way off. The gold base is something that Drogo cannot abide by. Some Banelings coming up. This is just a full-on brute force attack. He's got 6 Archons and about 17 now Zealots. Charge is done. +1 is done. Baneling speed is not. So that's an important factor here in closing the distance. The Archons are just chewing through the Banelings before they can get too close to the Zealots. Drogo pushing forward. Just the Archons now. Another round of charge lots. Drones being slaughtered, reminiscent of last game. 4 Archons at a time. Nice concave here for Serral, but drones caught in the crossfire. It looks like Serral gonna drive this back. The Stalker, the lonely Stalker, lost with no purpose. Going to find some drones to potentially kill. Now Serral lost a dozen drones there. The Archons are still... He's getting on the other side. Whoa, 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 whoa. Gotta be careful about that. 5 mutas on the way. Rest in pieces, Stalker. The attack went okay. Serral's scrambling to deal with the Prism again. But he does have a gold base. More drones are going to go down. Mutas are about to pop out. Archons are already done. There's not going to be Blank. There's no Stargate. And without a Stargate and without Blank, you don't have any direct options for countering the Mutalisks. Oh, no, that Archon drop's so important. He catches it right over the high ground area. Oh, come on. You got to kill the Prism. The Archons hit real hard, both metaphorically, emotionally, and physically. It was a struggle there. I got attacked by an Archon when I was a child, and I've never recovered. Mutas looking for another opportunity. Killing that Warp Prism would have really slowed down anything Drogo could be doing. But with the Archon drop and the Warp Prism itself still intact, that means Serral not going to find too much damage with the Mutas for now. Delays in a 4th base. And Drogo, like, the main base starts to mine out around the 8-9 minute mark. We're down to half the patches. The gas is starting to drain down as well. There's still plenty of time, but you really got to start thinking about what is your plan going forward. And, like, Serral's up 50 supply, but it doesn't really feel like he can attack here. That is one thing that Drogo has going for him. Did we ever see the Storm? There is no Storm. It's just these mutas here. Oh my god, that's a lot of Archons. Archons are amazing. They do extra damage against biological. You know what's biological? Literally everything Zerg has, including their buildings. So the Archons, well, if there was a counter. The Legacy of the Void trailer, quite correct there, even though I'm pretty sure an Ultra can 1v1 an Archon. I wouldn't want to test it, because then I'd have to build Ultras against Protoss, which is a dangerous proposition in and of itself. Oh, the Tactical Goop Contaminate on +3 attack, slowing down the upgrades, giving Serral more opportunity to shore up his army composition. Also pressuring a little with the Mutas. Drogo is attacking with less army supply, but he's got a whole lot of Archons. A couple dozen charge lots working up towards the northern side. The Archons holding. Juggling back. That Prism really showing its value. He's lost a lot of the Archons, but Serral didn't realize. They went right by an Overlord, and Serral didn't notice. An uncharacteristic mistake. The 3 Archons versus the world. The Zealots will... Actually, no, they're not being cleaned up. There's nothing stopping them right now. A little bit of Lingbane action. But the Zealots kill the base and all the drones at it. Okay, now the Zealot's a little distracted. But still chopping through a healthy amount of Lings and Banes. The Roach Ravager chasing down the Archon count. Drogo's at 60 supply. Serral has kind of obliterated everything. The Archons were not enough. Storm would have been incredibly helpful here. There is a shield battery to potentially overcharge, but how do you reconcile this? He overcharges the battery, but maybe a little on the early side of the attack. Of course, the cooldown's only a minute, but still. 4 Archons versus the world. That's where we are now. Juggling back the first round. The Banelings crashing through. The Zealot eats a couple hits. So far, incredible juggling. But is it enough? A Dark Templar comes into the mix. And an Archon without shields. Both of them, barely any HP between them. He has to tap it out, and Serral ties it up. 1, 2, 1. It feels like Drogo, at some point, like he was flirting with Storm. He was flirting with it. Like he took it out for dinner. He said nice things about it. He got its AIM username. But Storm ghosted him. And he was stuck with Archons. And while settling for Archons is not... like, Archons, you're still doing well for yourself. But... Storm, though. Storm, though. All tied up. Going into Eternal Empire. Serral showing, like, it felt like Drogo, I do stand by that with the Storms. It felt like he had the time and the space to get Storm, but he kind of just decided, I'm going for the attack, which at first looked pretty good, but Storm. Serral's been leaning on Ravager, Baneling. The Mutas doing just enough that last match. I thought we might be at a turning point when the Mutas didn't kill the Prism. Because at some point, like, Mutas have to get something done. Like, they've got to either create space, which is one of those, like, what does that even mean? But literally create space and pushing an army off the map to chase the Mutas / defend the Mutas. Or they have to do damage that justifies their cost. Because the Spire is not a cheap building, and the Mutas themselves are pretty expensive for their actual fighting power. But Serral made about the minimum investment, 5 Mutas. But that kept Drogo busy for long enough that Serral was able to get his 4th base, his gold base. And then, at some point, there are just too many units. The probe coming across the map. No forges yet. At least no cannon-based forges. You know what I mean. Parting would be disappointed. We will see. This is... Eternal Empire is probably your most macro-oriented map. The ability to take a third without really worrying about it. The fact that your natural itself has a small ramp to even get close to it when you wall off, like Drogo's done here. Just the sheer rush distance and the watchtowers being strong defensively, aka like the player on that side of the map usually can pretty easily take control of a watchtower. Like, we've seen the most 30-plus minute games here. I don't know what we're going to see. It's another Stargate out of Drogo. Game 1, the Oracle ended up doing a lot more damage than you would expect an Oracle to do, to be honest. Like you expect one Oracle to get in, get like 2-3 drones, maybe force the drones to run away. No, he got like 5. The difference in the timing is important too. Like, it's more important to kill 5 drones when your opponent has 30 drones or 35 drones than it is to kill 15 drones when they got 60. Because you're catching them, you're chopping them off at the knees there. They can't even get going. And that kind of forced Serral into an all-in. Double adept pressure. Doesn't want to risk Zerglings with speed catching and killing him, but wants to keep Serral thinking about those adepts and how at some point they could just shade in and kill some drones as well. Serral being very active, keeping vision on the map. He's at the watchtower. We're at the stage of the game where Drogo just doesn't have enough units to split between it. Later on, he can easily put a Zealot or something there. The Oracle coming in, but Serral not having any of it this time. Oh, wait, what? There's no Spore! What? Drogo's trading the Oracle, but Serral just did not... I guess he saw Stalker and was like, oh, you're going for, like, Twilight Council. Usually the Stalker would indicate that. But Serral just not building Spore Crawlers. He's going to keep one Oracle alive. Not sure. Like, honestly, I don't know. Usually you'd build the Spore if you're not sure what you're dealing with. Oh, the Adept! There's a Zealot. He's not going to get it. This will give Drogo a distinct advantage here, income-wise. Even though Serral is mining from 3 bases. And this is the most important time that Drogo needs to be safe right now. This is the most precarious time, at least in the early mid-stage of the game. This is when you're getting your tech up, when you don't really have enough units. You can't afford to be just warping a bunch of Zealots or building a whole lot of static defense. Right now, he's getting the Twilight with the Templar Archives. He doesn't care that the Overlord sees it. Of course he's getting a Templar Archives. Nobody, like everyone expects the Templar Archives. In fact, I bet Serral was a little surprised that Storm was not a factor last game. But if you can just comfortably get your Twilight, your Robo units out, your Templar Archives, and there's no threat of attack, which there is no threat of attack right now. Serral had his dozen or so, maybe 20 Zerglings, and that's it. He's going to try to dart in, but... So now, Drogo can comfortably get up his robotics facility and his 3rd base and all the gas geysers and all the fixins. And this is the stage of the game. If you don't do the damage with the Oracles killing 9 drones. That's what gets Drogo to this stage comfortably. That's what makes it so he doesn't have to worry about having a lot of extra shield batteries or a wall off, because he knows Serral has to take that little bit of extra time, getting more drones out, going for a 4th, the lair slightly delayed. So we got a good old-fashioned macro game. Now Drogo coming out. He's finished up, I believe, 8 gateways. 9 gates. Going with this brute force. No Storm again, but he's got 9 gates done remarkably quick. Roach speed is just... Serral cancels at the last second. Roach speed is not done. Baneling speed doesn't exist. A dozen more roaches are coming out. I don't know if this ends here, but Drogo is really putting his foot on the gas. And Serral doesn't have enough of gas of his own in this unit composition to really help out against it. Oh, a stasis ward doesn't really... I think a changeling triggered the stasis. What a play by Serral. But Drogo keeps coming in. All these upgrades. Roach speed is now done, but the roaches are coming out on different sides of the map. The Archon's pushing in towards the natural. Another round of Zealots. Deja vu. Zealots on the third. The drone's mostly undefended. The Archon's backing off into the Prism. There's nothing to kill the Prism. But the third base just died. And this was not just the early damage with the Oracles and the early pressure. It didn't just keep Drogo alive, but allowed him to jump into this attack. There's no Storm. He's not getting +2. He's not getting any other Twilight upgrades. He starts it now that he knows he's significantly ahead and done the damage, of course. But he might just kill, like, Serral's bleeding out. He lost his 4th, he lost his 3rd, he lost a bunch of drones. There's still Zealots in the main. In fact, this is one of those games, like, Serral doesn't even have a desperate attack. Serral is almost dead. The Zealots just get on top of those roaches. They might not do damage on impact, but they do damage when they slice them to pieces. The Archon getting into the drones. The drones have nowhere to run. They've been refugees for the last at least a minute and a half, and eventually 2 Gs are in their future. 7 more drones go down. The second to third is on its way back. The roach count is... it's high enough to be dangerous and forces Drogo to back off a little bit, but he confidently warps in a round of Templar on the creep here. You got, like, Serral's... He really doesn't... Oh, an Archon with no shields. A very sad life here for the Finnish Zerg. 4 Archons show up to the party. 1 wearing nothing but 8 HP. But, oh no, the drones! It's a disaster. And Drogo, with a confident and strongly timed attack, just obliterates Serral. Now puts him up on match point, 2-1. Well, if I've learned anything as a professional StarCraft caster person thing, we're on match point, which means it's time for a quick advertisement. We'll get into the next game. Jimmy, you guys can pause ad block. I'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Winter, and I'm here to talk to you all about StarCraft. Okay, maybe not all about StarCraft, but about StarCraft things in particular. First, have you heard of Wardy? Unrelated, Wardy, if for just $5 a month, you can subscribe to Wardy, and you get all of the replays from all the amazing things he casts live, and you can cast them yourself. Not live, but instead at a time of your choosing. Just circumvent the whole watching Wardy in the first place. Get those replay packs. Subscribe today. Check them out. But if you also want to subscribe here, you can check out Twitch Prime. Amazon Prime. Connect it with Twitch. Just 3 taps on your smart refrigerator. Boom. Twitch Prime. You can get all this amazing loot for mobile games you don't really care about. But wait, there's more. Stay at Home Story Cup is brought to you by Take TV. Take TV, the premier German esports organization. If I had to name a better German esports organization, I literally couldn't. I would really struggle, which is why it's great that Take TV puts on all these amazing events. Thank you to Take TV, Take, and everyone else. I assume Big Gabe, they're all in on it. It's all involved. But if you enjoy my breakdown, make sure to check out Take TV and support them today through all the various means. But also by liking and subscribing and ringing the bell on this video so YouTube force feeds you more videos just like this one. More people watch this amazing StarCraft, make balance complaints, make comments about how this player does this thing and therefore this thing happens. As we all know, Twitch chat and YouTube chat, the foremost experts on StarCraft 2. Thank you, good luck, and have fun. Jimmy. Thank you guys for sticking around. I know ads are loud and annoying, but we're here. Game 4. Drogo with a 2-game lead over Serral. Like, if you had gone into this series, I would have asked you, like, has a Protoss player ever beaten a Zerg player, ever? And that would have been a reasonable question, but now we're here. And Serral, we're on Death Aura, which, important, you guys have heard of slow zones, better known as bubulas. Well, I introduce you, speed bubs. Speed bubs, they're like slow zones, except the opposite. They make you go fast. 35% faster move speed within the speed bubs. That's it. Not attack speed, unless it's like a melee unit, in which case I guess that translates into attack speed potentially, but let's not get complicated. Let's see. This Overlord might demonstrate for us. Oh, not quite. Well, there's the one in the middle, so that should be fine. We'll get there. Overlord's not known for their speed. But wait. Gotta go. Whoa! Slow down!
Let's do this.
That Overlord gonna get a speeding ticket if it doesn't chill out. The whole map. Just cover the whole map with them. Just up everything's speed by 35%. First Overlord being sent out. Suddenly Zerglings are almost as good as they are in Brood War. The scouting probe doing the zigzag. The reason they take this pathing is there are rocks blocking each side of the map, making it difficult to circumvent the speed bubs until later on when you got enough units to take them down. Yes, speed bubs. Just like any other bubs, but speedy. Wait, is that like a skull of a Protolisk? So, back in the day, Ultralisks were 5 times the size. But they died out because that was a little impractical. They're already a little too large. They need to cut down. That would be a big buff. But back in the day, Protoss roamed the jungles, ruining everything, and not allowing anything to get in any sort of choke point, because they're just too thick. The Overlord Gun Scout. It's going to be a Stargate again. All these successful matches so far for Drogo have started this way, with that Stargate. Couple of depths shading in. Of course, cancels. The Stargate spotted. Serral. Hopefully this time, not going to be losing half a dozen drones for no discernible reason. Like, that was a very uncharacteristic mistake. Like, Serral just losing 5 drones to an Oracle, or 6 drones because he didn't have a Spore Crawler. It's not really what you expect to see. The Oracle heading in towards the main. What are we doing? We're watching that drone. A very serious drone. The Oracle gets driven out. This time, for the very first time, 0 kills. 0 kills. Serral has built a small clutch of Zerglings that are unlikely to do any damage, but he's also taken no damage at home. So for the first time, we see what the actual follow-up from the finished Zerg is going to be. Meanwhile, Drogo is opting. He's got his Robo on the way. We should see the Twilight in the Forge. So far, very similar to the previous match. Once again, the big difference is Serral did not have. Well, he didn't suffer any losses early. Now, this is another part of the new Oracle, with Revelation only costing 25 energy. It's a lot more realistic to actually clear creep with Oracles. So, yeah, there you go. That's actually a pretty cool usage. I definitely could see more of this happening. Ooh, 3 Oracles built here. Really leaning into it. Overlord, slowly, but surely, making its way past, sees the gateway explosion, and this confirms that Stargates are not the order of the day. Sure, he made 3 oracles, which are enough to see. What am I watching? Am I watching oracles try to kill rocks? Sure. Okay. I don't know if that was maybe the best usage of their energy, but oracles come in towards the main. Serral with a second spore. He's taking this very seriously. He does have 65 drones. There is a noticeable difference here. Serral's already working on his 4th. He's got a baneling nest finishing up, roach speed. This time, charge is not going to be hitting before roach speed, and they're both going to be at around the same time. Drogo is not screwing around with the wall, as he adds another 4 gateways here. What, are you going to hit him with the water balloons? He's going to... Okay. The water balloons make the Zerglings very uncomfortable, so they will leave that location. As you know, Templar just devastating in their tech. It's going to be Storm. This time around, Drogo is investing. Oh. I bet Serral can't believe it. Serral's like, wait, what? This isn't supposed to happen. Uh-oh. And it's definitely not. You don't want to be like, that is a... You can't be making that mistake. You can't let the Zerglings get into your base. That's bad. I know. I'm an expert. So, not only did Drogo not do damage to Serral this time, Serral has done damage to Drogo, who now, he's kind of just got to chill. He's got to get his storm out, and it looks like a 4th base is on the agenda, but we're talking about an 80 drone Serral here. Yeah, sure, the oracles might be able to pick off a few more. There's plenty of Templar. The big concern is how long it's taken for all this to come together. A warp prism usually signals an attack. A warp prism, either for warping in charge lots into the main, or supporting the army, that's usually when a Protoss player is indicating that it's time to move out. And of course, now that we're reaching up towards 4 bases, 70-something workers, it is time. Warp prism on the way, but Spire is spotted. So Drogo has a couple hard choices. Either he sits back defensively and just tries to shut down. And he sort of mutes, or he goes on the attack. Because sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and against mutas, that is definitely the case. Baneling drops are coming in, though. Serral is lining up a lot of different angles of attack. There's a charge lot drop heading out. Corruptors on the way. I think Serral not even going to try the mutas. Drogo just straight up walling off locations, forcing it so that the Zerglings have to come through the direct center here. But another drop is lining up towards the main. +2 melee attack is not quite done yet, which means the banelings don't one-shot probes, but it's not like the probes are going to be too hyped about it. Oh, no. He's just going to drop 15 probes in the first attack. Not a game-ending number, but not going to make things any easier for Drogo, who's up against a full-swing Serral, who has all the tech, the workers, and the production that he wants. 84 drones, 24 banelings on the way. There's a handful of charge lots that will be drawn like a magnet into the banelings back in the Legacy of the Void trailer again here. But the Storm going to help out against Banes. More Archons on the way. It's not like Drogo's had a terrible economy himself, despite those losses. +2 melee is going to finish up. +2 melee also allows you to 2-shot Templar. That's an important part of this. It's not just about killing probes, but just the sheer damage against Templar. Actually, I'm not sure how the equation changed with Banelings doing more damage directly to light, but less overall. But Storm still does a pretty good job against Banelings. Serral's first wave mostly rebuffed Oh, Oracle gunned down by Corrosive Bile. Drogo had different priorities. The Templar retreating behind the front lines, but the front lines evaporating as well. Serral, 70 Zerglings on the way. There's still a couple Archons. There's still some Storm. But Drogo, he might overstay his welcome. Adrenal glands are about halfway done. More Templar, more merging into Archons and being escorted across the map. The double prism here, I wouldn't be surprised if one just heads towards the main. He's got to do something to break up this critical mass of Serral's Lings. And well, there's no lists. It's just Lings, Roaches, Ravagers, Banelings, a handful of Charge Lots, +2 Adrenalings, which they're about to be. Still very dangerous to Zealots. The Zealots have good weapons upgrades, but maybe not good enough. The Corruptors, just 2 of them, but that's enough to stop a Prism. Some Zergling counterattack coming through. Gonna dive right in the only way Drogo's letting units into his base. But he can't wall it all off, not easily. Meanwhile, moving in, Immortal Archon, not even a single charge lot in the mix here. The Banelings. Storms are everything. He's got to hold the line. Storms at the front. The Archons are crumbling. The Immortals, the Banelings come all the way through, drawing out a lot of extra fire. A couple Archons doing enough work to keep this army intact. The Corrosive Bile not doing enough in order to break Drogo here. Serral bringing another round. The Banelings crashing through, trying to draw as much fire as they can before going down themselves. The Immortal, that's an optimistic recall. Down goes the Prism, down goes the Immortal, down goes all hope of this attack being, well, what Drogo needed to bring himself back into this. Everything kind of fell apart. Serral's production is too damn high. Drogo is now scrambling, but you can't be playing defense against an army like this. As soon as he has to keep falling back, retreating, that's when the Zerglings and the Banelings... Is there even enough energy for Storm? Oh, he's the shield battery overcharged, doing everything it can. But is that enough? A couple Banelings are split off towards the 4th. 6 of them. The probes are pulled, but is that going to matter? Another Baneling drop coming in, +2 Banes blasting through the mineral line. 20 probes, 26 probes, 29 probes, leaving just 43 survivors. Serral sweeps the leg. And suddenly Drogo in a precarious position. It looked like he might have a chance to stabilize. It looked like he might have a dream. This base almost... Is this a double Rich Vespine base? Oh my god, I've never seen this base taken. I mean, the maps have only been out for a week, but still. You can't, like... That is critical damage. Okay, one base goes down. But that's a drop in the bucket. Serral's still maxed out. Drogo, his army supply, like, he has +3 attack. He's got a lot of Archons. He's got a lot of Storm. The only hive tech is Zerglings, but the Zerglings are ripping through Drogo's gateways. The mineral line is just gone. The Nexus clawed to pieces. Storm does not damage quickly enough to stop the Zerglings. Those are +3 cracklings right there, with adrenal glands and maximum upgrades. Drogo has one last attack. He's got 5 Archons. He's got 7 Templar, which have quite a lot of energy. Well, some of them bordering on 2 Storms. Serral has 120 Zerglings, and he's making all of the Banelings with a Greater Spire in the mail right now. Oh no. More Zerglings are making things more and more difficult. Drogo has given up the home front. Storms. He's gotta ration them out. But at some point, there are just too many Banelings. And Serral ties it up. Down it goes. That's what happens. Like, that is the difference between a Serral who didn't build a Spore Crawler and loses 9 drones to Oracles, and a Serral who kills 9 probes with a Zergling run by. Like, the momentum shift was... Okay, why Why do they let them pick? At least it's not a mirror matchup. It's the worst when it's a mirror matchup. But why do they let them switch colors in between the matches? Like, it's a lot worse if it's a mirror matchup, but still. Serral going, that's a 12 pull. That's a straight up 12 pull right there. I don't think he's not getting gas. This isn't a super cheese. Serral, we're on submarine, which is the smallest rush distance of any map in the new pool. It's definitely a smaller map. The drone, like, Serral's trying to sell it right now. Is Drogo buying what he's selling? Oh my god. Drogo slaps down a pylon there. I mean, I think Serral did want to expand. But Drogo, oh no. The probe, unhappy to see that a pull is already done. He's going to deny the expansion, which is the best he can do for now. Slaps down a gateway. He's going to get the cyber core to wall, but the Zerglings are already on the way. Drogo coming in with the probe again. He's thinking about maybe build a cyber core next to it. No, don't do it, Drogo. Don't do it. Okay. Cancels at the last second. Serral will be delayed on his expo, but now I think this is something you're going to be able to watch at home. I mean, obviously, it's stay-at-home story, but when it comes to responding, because Drogo knows this is not an all-in. Like, this is not, I'm pulling my drones, I'm going to break down your wall like Action Jesus. And that's a deep reference. But at the same time, if you underestimate this, if you let the Zerglings get us around on the Zealot or kill the Cyber Core, well, you really don't want to lose the Cyber Core. The Zerglings got a great surround there. The wall. Oh, wait. The Zealots. Serral just kept building Zerglings. Usually you only build like 8 lings with this. Oh. I can't. In game 5, Serral's like, 12 pool. He kills the Cyber Core, which honestly isn't. Oh no. Well, I guess. Oh, Drogo, maybe not this pylon? Okay. Drogo has to do some very quick renovations to his wall. He's building a Zealot. He's building a Zealot so that way the Zerglings don't slip behind him. He's building 2 Zealots. But Serral has 25 drones. He's manipulated Drogo. He's manipulated Drogo into kind of an awkward... How do creep tumors even do that? Serral doesn't have speed and he doesn't have a spine. So that means that 2 Adepts are still dangerous. But Drogo doesn't want to just lose them. Alright. He kills 1 drone. Not even close. 1 HP! What a save! I mean, it doesn't get much closer than that. He gets a... That was more, I'd imagine, for scouting than it was for actually doing damage. And whatever plan Drogo might have had for this match is now, well, no longer exists. Does he go for the Dark Templar? He's upgrading glaives. Or is he? Now it's charge. I guess he rethinks it. Glaives may be too obvious. This is an uncomfortable place to be. The thing is, Serral, like, when you do a 12 pull like this, you don't have a great economy. Serral has a handful more workers, but you don't have a 3rd hatchery nearly as quick. If you're going to commit to tech, you don't really have anything to back it up. Like, there's no Zergling speed. So Serral doesn't just have the Zerglings to help protect his bases or to pressure Drogo. So that means he has to just skip that phase pretty much. And, well, he's going for +1 roaches. That much is obvious right here. The Overlord has spotted Well, oh my god, how do his overlords just see everything? He just sees the whole base. Get these map hacks out of here. Alright? Like, God, Serral, you're not allowed to just see everything. And that's not even speed overlords. Anyways. They're just kind of floating past. Yeah, sure, you don't usually make stalkers when you get all in. Well, not really all in, but when you get early ling rushed like that, but... So Serral knows exactly what he's dealing with. And unfortunately for Drogo, Serral kind of has the best possible response. It is a quick +1 roach with speed. What that means is just as Drogo tries to move out for maybe a third base, and his third base is finishing up, that's exactly when Serral will be hitting his peak strength. That's when he's going to have roaches with their upgrades, zerglings with speed to follow it up. He has the direct counter to someone who's trying to rely on just a prism to keep his opponent back. Drogo now has a very awkward scenario of, do I try to defend the third? He doesn't know nearly as much as Serral does. Serral saw the gateways, he saw the third, he saw the timing of everything. The roaches are already here. There is roach speed, as well as +1 finishing up here. The Archons need the prism to actually get out of the base, but Serral is already... Not about! Serral... Oh no, no cancel! He was busy escalating the Archons, and he loses the minerals, at least 300 of them, on the third base. Transportation difficulties are not... he loses an Archon. This is going from bad to worse. It's not like Serral has a huge economy either. He put a few more drones out after that first attack. No! Serral went for the jugular with the early pull. And while Drogo was barely able to stop him, at the end of the day, this game has obviously been Serral both in Drogo's base and in his head. And Drogo played so beautifully. Whenever he's opened Stargate, Drogo has, and even that last game, sure, Serral ended up being fine, but he's obviously much more comfortable with the Stargate. There's always the arguments to be made, like, do you just go Stargate even if you're on a low economy, you don't really have the unit count? And I feel like here maybe that would have been the answer. Serral, at force field, sure, but he can break him down with corrosive bile. Well, he's got 3 immortals. There is an Archon helping out. The Queens are getting involved. The shield battery is nearly done. Desperately needs battery overcharge, but he's targeting down the battery. And Serral brings it all the way back. And locks it down. Drogo had some great moves made. But Serral kind of shows why he's such a scary player. Like, he just 12-pulled. He just 12-pulled him. Yeah, it's the most obvious map to 12-pull on as well. Like, it's the smallest rush distance. I'm gonna get Zerglings in your base. Move along, little probe. He just 12-pulled him. Well, I can't believe it. Serral wins again. What a guy. But thank you to Tech TV for constantly putting on these events despite the circumstances. Thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing, and ringing all of the bells to get force-fed more incredible content and series. What do you think? Shield battery overcharge. Is it the game breaker that every non-Protoss is saying it is? Or maybe it's just okay. Give me your strong opinions. Thank you for watching. Good luck. And have fun.